Yeah, bro, the Dennis Schroeder situation is crazy. Why did they blow that team up? That was a great team. I think Connect's gonna ball out, inshallah, by the way. Dante Connect is going to ball out. He's not even in his prime.
Giving the 2025 Phoenix Suns deadline an F.
Who did they even get?
Like that they destroyed that locker room chemistry. They were trying so hard.
Yeah, bro. Oh my god, because they were trying to get KD out of there. And then what else? What else?
To waive his no
Bradley Beal. Oh my god, bro.
They could turn Beal into Jimmy Butler. They couldn't pull that off. Jimmy goes to Golden State. They made a trade with the Charlotte Hornets, sending them Yusuf Nurkic and a first-round pick they got in that 3-for-1 pick swap with the Jazz in exchange for Cody Martin and Vasily Micic. And even though I'm getting
a first-round pick, bro,
a few weeks ago in this deal,
oh yeah, they fucked up.
Trade deadline for the Phoenix Suns. They are currently 500 on the season. They are currently Minnesota and San Antonio either getting better or trying to win right now because they don't own draft capital in the 2025 draft. There's a realistic chance that the Phoenix Suns don't even make the play-in tournament this year, with being the highest paid team in the NBA, being over $100 million over the luxury tax.
I don't know what's happening over there in Phoenix,
bro. It's been a disastrous season for the Phoenix
I don't know what's happening over
Detroit
there.
made some small moves at the deadline. They had a lot of cap space. They had some roster spots. They got involved in the Jimmy Butler trade to the Golden State Warriors. They ended up acquiring Dennis Schroeder in that deal, with Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson not going to Detroit anymore. And they also picked up KJ Martin from the Philadelphia 76ers and getting some second-round picks, in which allowed them to take on KJ Martin's money so Philadelphia could get under the luxury tax. I'm going to give Detroit's deadline a B. Yeah, I would have liked if they went after Brandon Ingram, maybe Zach LaVine before he got traded, or CJ McCollum, just to give Cade Cunningham some offensive help. But the Detroit Pistons have a lottery protected first this year. If they make the playoffs, that goes to Minnesota, and I think they're fine making the playoffs.
Yeah, bro, the Dennis Schroeder situation is crazy. It's absolutely nuts. They made an example out of him, because he said, what did he say? He said he was basically talking about how NBA trades is kind of like slavery and shit. I think it was after Luka got traded, or like somewhere during the deadline. And bro, this trade window, he was on 4 teams, and he's ended up at Detroit. They made an example out of him. It's fucking crazy, bro.
And I think that was going to be fucking crazy going into the year to make the playoffs in 2025. And I do like them adding Dennis Schroeder. He should help them in the backcourt and take a little bit of the load off Cade Cunningham and gives them a good backup point guard. Would have I liked the Detroit Pistons to make a bigger move? Yes, but they're trusting the process and they're not trying to make
Detroit playing well.
Deals.
Detroit is dead playing well.
Before we get back into the video, I want to give a dog it away, James Watt, a little bit lower, try to make a pick. I'm gonna give Indiana a D+ for this year's deadline. They didn't trade Obi Toppin. They didn't try to make any win now moves for a team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. This would be a little bit lower.
Damn, they were. How the fuck did they get there?
Basically just traded away James
they were there.
Toronto Raptors and gave them some cash just to get under the luxury.
How did the Pacers get to the Eastern Conference Final, bro?
Could have tried to make a win now move, and for a team like I said that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, they're currently the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Yes, they've been playing very well now that they're fully healthy with the guys that aren't out for the year. I think they could have just made another win now move. The Knicks only made one trade, and they were involved in the 3-team deal with Milwaukee and Washington. They sent Jericho Sims to the Milwaukee Bucks, and they got DeLon Wright, the draft rights to Hugo Besson, and some.
I like Jericho Sims though.
I'm just gonna give it a C. The Knicks didn't do anything crazy at the deadline. They did add a good guard defender in DeLon Wright, but this team needs a wing defender. I definitely think the Knicks could have made a little bit more of a win now move for a team that's window is currently in play this season. If everybody can be healthy in the playoffs, they didn't trade Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, they need more depth, bro. The Knicks, bro. The Knicks, they just play all the starters like 50 minutes a game, and then just, you feel me?
I'm not surprised that they didn't really make any crazy deals at this year's deadline. I'm gonna give the Brooklyn Nets a D. They didn't trade Cam Johnson at the deadline. What if Cam Johnson suffers like an injury in the second half of the year, and you're going to lose some value for him in the offseason? And maybe the market really wasn't there for Cam Johnson. Maybe Houston wasn't going to give up valuable assets, or Orlando, or OKC. I just think Brooklyn could have either traded away Cam Thomas, Nick Claxton, Darren Sharp, or Cam
you don't trade Cam Thomas, bro.
Rebuild, and they've been winning some games as of late. I'm surprised nobody even wanted D'Angelo Russell to add some shooting to their team. So I just think Brooklyn could have been a little bit more involved as a seller at this year's deadline, and they didn't really do so. Yeah, they can move Cam Johnson in the offseason, but I just don't know if his value is going to be as high, because the team trading for Cam Johnson gets them for one less playoff run than they would have at this year's deadline. I'm going to give the Minnesota Timberwolves a C- for a team that didn't make a single deal at the 2025 deadline. They are a second apron team, so they were very restricted on what deals.
Yeah, they were trying to get KD one day.
They didn't trade away Julius Randle, who could leave them in the offseason. Nas Reed is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And Minnesota is 28-23, and they still have one of the best players in the NBA in Anthony Edwards. I would have liked to see them be a little bit more aggressive. I'm fine with them not making a single move at all, but I'm just going to drop it down to a C- compared to
Yo, A and Anthony Edwards and KD would have been crazy, bro. That would have been crazy.
WCF this year. I'm going to give Denver a C, and usually C's in this are going to be incomplete, where they didn't really make notable moves.
Yeah, Denver didn't do anything. I don't blame them, though.
At this year's deadline,
I really don't blame them.
I would have liked if they were able to get off the Zeke Naji contract, maybe get Cody Martin.
They got a really solid team set up over there, man.
But this team is still one of the best teams in the Western Conference. I'm still taking them over any team not named the OKC Thunder in the playoffs right now because of Nikola Jokic, the way Russ is playing this year, the Christian Brown breakout, and now that Gordon, Porter Jr., and Murray are all healthy, playing a little bit better. I do think the Denver Nuggets can go back to the NBA Finals. So the Nuggets are just going to get an incomplete C. I'm going to give the Houston Rockets a C-. I don't know if this is a little bit harsh to Houston, but I would have liked to see them add a shooter at this deadline. It didn't have to be somebody like Cam Johnson, who would have went for a decent amount. Could they have gone involved in a Grayson Allen or a Josh Green or a Luke Kennard at the deadline? Because this is one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the NBA, and they're currently at the top of the Western Conference right now as the 3 seed. They did go out and get Jaden Springer from the Boston Celtics to help Boston save a little bit of money. But
I didn't know he got waived.
They need shooting. They don't need any more defense. I'm not sure if Jaden Springer is even going to play that much for them outside if they have a few injuries. So I'm going to give Houston a C-. It's kind of an incomplete for them, but I would have liked for them to make a little bit more decisions regarding their poor three-point shooting this year as they're ramping up for hopefully a deep playoff run.
I didn't know that.
San Antonio Spurs are easily getting an A+.
Yeah, they went crazy. Bro, the Spurs is an example of a great fucking franchise, bro. They got Wemby, generational superstar, right? Like, that's your franchise player. And look at the pieces they were able to get around them. They got Chris Paul, they got Harrison Barnes, they got De'Aaron Fox now. They drafted Stephon Castle. Great franchise, man.
Easy A+. You got one
great
of the best
franchise
point guards in the NBA in his prime at 27 years old, probably the beginning of his prime for matching salary.
The Spurs are genuinely serious now. The Spurs are serious.
Zach Collins, Sidy Cissoko, and Trey Jones. You didn't give up any of those future Atlanta picks, and we're going to get to Atlanta in a little bit, but those picks are looking more valuable and valuable by the day. And you have somebody that fits the timeline with Wemby, who already looks so good in his debut from this year's deadline. Probably not the best pickup, but in most years it would be the best pickup. And I'm so excited to watch De'Aaron Fox grow with Wemby as a point guard center duo for years and years to come. I'm going to give Washington's trade deadline a B+. I really like this for the Wizards. They went out and they got Marcus Smart, took on his bad money for next year's season, but they also
Wizards
got a
are dead in the water, bro.
first round pick out of it, and more draft picks the merrier for this Wizards team that is one of the worst teams of all time this season. But it's obviously
I didn't know they got a pick.
They just had to give up second rounders in this deal. They also orchestrated a deal with the Sacramento Kings. Jonas Valanciunas goes to Sacramento. They get Sidy Cissoko and some seconds. They waived Sidy Cissoko. I would have liked if they could somehow have gone a first for Valanciunas, but maybe that was always unrealistic. So that trade.
Yeah, no one's giving up a first for Valanciunas. I'm not gonna lie.
But then I also
no one's getting a first.
They made with the
You're not getting a first, bro.
They got AJ Johnson, Chris Middleton, and a 2028 pick swap in exchange for Kyle Kuzma and Patrick Baldwin. I think this is a good trade for the Wizards. They don't need to do anything with Chris Middleton right now. Maybe a team wants to acquire him in the offseason, and you can get either a young player or some seconds for him because he's most likely going to opt into his player.
I know we haven't gotten to the Bucks, but why did the Bucks blow up that team that won the championship? Why did they blow it up? Did they trade Drew Holiday or did he go in the offseason? I don't know. But Drew Holiday's gone. They now traded Chris Middleton. Why did they blow that team up? That was a great team.
Option, but you take a flyer on AJ Johnson, who is a first round pick, and you also get a 2028 swap. I highly doubt that the Wizards are going to be better than the Bucks in 2028, but hey, you never know. It's the National Basketball Association. They probably could have moved Kyle Kuzma a few years ago and gotten more in return, but I think they did all right for Kuzma having one of the worst.
Did they go and get Kyle Kuzma?
25 trade deadline. They made two really good deals that I liked a lot. So they made a trade with the Phoenix Suns where they got Yusuf Nurkic. They got to take on his bad money for next year, but they get a 2026 first round pick, which is probably going to be in the 20s.
I think Connect's going to ball out in Charlotte, by the way. I think LA, I think any rookie coming into a market like the Lakers is gonna be a bit shaky at the start, or maybe have some growing pains, or maybe more growing pains than you would see at other teams. I think in Charlotte, Don't Connect is going to ball out. I think he's
Why
gonna
not?
hoop out.
You're a rebuilding team. You may as well just try to accumulate more draft capital. Like I said before with the Washington Wizards, you trade away Cody Martin,
I don't like them giving up Mark Williams though.
Vasa Micic, and a 2026 second rounder. Really not losing a ton there. So I think that was a good deal by them. And I also like the deal with the LA Lakers, where they sent out Mark Williams. Definitely a shocker to the LA Lakers. They get Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, a 2031 first round pick, and a 2030 pick swap. Now, I don't think those picks are going to have too much value.
Cam Reddish might have a little rejuvenation over there too. That'd be nice.
Luka Doncic, and they're always going to be competitive with Luka on their team. But Mark Williams has had his injury concerns in the past. They're definitely selling high on him right now, and maybe he performs really well with Luka over there in LA. It makes sense. Luka's made so many centers elevate their games by playing with Luka and having him as a
What a
playmaker
pass
next to
that
them.
was
And I
by
think
Braun,
this is a
bro.
good
What the
trade for the
fuck?
Charlotte Hornets. They got a whole new regime in the offseason. That regime didn't draft Mark Williams, and this team is bad right now, and maybe they're going to get rewarded with Cooper Flagg in the 2025 draft lottery. But let's stay on the LA Lakers, the team the Charlotte Hornets made a deal with.
A+.
We'll go back to the Mark Williams deal, but obviously they made the biggest trade at the deadline, pretty much kick-starting the elite 2025 trade deadline, where they acquired Luka Doncic.
So I'll give my thoughts on this shit. The Luka trade. So the Mavericks came to the Lakers and said, here's Luka, we want AD. I don't know a scenario in which you reject that trade if you're the Lakers. I know they've been wanting a big man. But brother, that's Luka Doncic. You can worry about you can go get a big man to play big man, bro. It's Luka Doncic. He's 25, bro. He was supposed to win MVP. This was his MVP year. If he ain't been injured so much. Bro, he's not even in his prime. Like, what? And to have him under the wing of LeBron for a few years too? I don't know. I see what the Mavericks were trying to do. No, I don't. I'll be real, I don't see it at all.
25-year-old
I don't know.
superstar who's already made 5 All-NBA first teams in his career. They also picked up Maxi Kleba, Markieff Morris in exchange for Anthony Davis, Max Christie.
Wait, chat, did you see this one video? Hold on. I need to look for this on Twitter. Did you see this one video where it was Nico Harrison and it was Jason Kidd at their press conference? Oh no, this is bad. This gets worse than I thought. Bro, so hold on. So not only did he say this shit, he said the future to me is 3 to 4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, they'll probably bury me and Jason Kidd by then, or we'll bury ourselves. And look at the reaction. Hold on.
It fits right along with our time frame to win now and win in the future. And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay by then, or we bury ourselves. Yes.
Oh man, it's so awkward. I didn't even know he did this shit. Hold on.
All right, I know there's a lot of questions.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Great job. But you have a game tonight.
So you guys don't have any questions about the game? Can I?
That's bad.
I know there's a lot of questions.
That's bad, bro. That's so bad.
A 2029 first-round pick, and then Jalen Hood-Schifino got rerouted to the Utah Jazz. Not only is this the best trade from the deadline, it is one of the best trades of all time. It's an easy A+ for the LA Lakers. Luka, in a down year for him in 22 games, was putting up 28, 8 and 8, shooting 46% from the field,
Ridiculous,
35% from 3. He's going to make his debut this weekend. And it's probably going to be the most watched Lakers game in quite some time, which is saying a lot with how popular the LA Lakers are. And just getting somebody that's 25, that is this good historically, that is going to be a perfect replacement for LeBron James as your franchise star when LeBron retires.
I'm so excited to see how they play
And then I
together,
also do
bro.
like the deal, them getting Mark Williams. I think that was a
I gotta go
trade
to a
for the
Lakers
though.
game,
Mark
man.
Williams should elevate his game even
Fuck.
more. He does have some defensive lapses, but maybe that was because he was playing on a tanking or just a really bad Charlotte Hornets team. He has been injured in every single year of his career, so if he could stay healthy, this is a home run trade for the Lakers. But if he can't, it's not the end of the world just because you're gonna have Luka in 2030 and 2031.
I remember that
really
shit.
not worried about those
That
picks.
was his like
Luka's
first like.
floor for you is always gonna be a
Oh man, how'd they get? How did they let the Lakers get away with this shit, bro? How?
Few deals. They traded away Kevin Porter Jr., take a flyer on a young player by the name of Marjan Beauchamp from the Milwaukee Bucks. They also acquired Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Atlanta Hawks and 3 second-round picks in exchange for Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. And they also sent out PJ Tucker to the Utah Jazz and Mo Bamba and a second-round pick in exchange for Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills. I think this was a solid deadline for the LA Clippers. They didn't trade anyway future valuable first-round picks, and they definitely got better this year. Bogdan Bogdanovic has been.
Damn, I gotta go to that Clippers arena too.
Banged up, and if he can be healthy, I like him a lot better in this LA Clippers offense. And the Clippers saved money at this year's deadline as well, so I think they did a good job with all their restrictions. I didn't really hate the Zach LaVine trade for the Chicago Bulls, but looking at their trade deadline as a whole, I'm giving them a D. That was the only trade they made, was sending Zach LaVine to the Sacramento Kings. They got their protection lifted off their first round pick from the Spurs, and they got back Trey
Yeah,
Jones,
the Bulls are a horrible franchise, bro. They're a horribly run franchise. I think I have like 6 point guards on the team now.
and Zach Collins.
Because all Trey Jones, Zach Collins, they were all supposed. I heard they were supposed to get traded. Still, I heard they were supposed to get flipped, and they just never got
Like them to
flipped.
still trade Nikola Vucevic. I know they extended Lonzo Ball, but I would have preferred if they traded him as well. They have way too many guards on their roster right now. Even if there was a market for Josh Giddey, I would have looked at trading him as well. So I think
Yeah, because they have Lonzo, they have Josh Giddey, they have Ayo Dosunmu, they have Trey Jones now, they have. Who else do they have? Kobe White, bro. Come on.
Chicago, with all things considered at the deadline this year, really didn't get that much worse, even though they are going to be bad and they may fall out of the play-in tournament spot. I don't know if they're going to be bad enough to have a high percentage chance at winning the 2025 draft lottery and winning the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So I feel like Chicago is still just scared to.
You got to build around Buzella. You got to build around Matas. You have to build around Matas. He's been hooping.
I still would have moved Nikola Vucevic to Golden State, even if the first round pick wasn't that good in value. So the Milwaukee Bucks made a few trades. I talked about it before with the Clippers, but they sent out Marjan Beauchamp. They acquired KPJ, trading a little bit of defense for a little bit of offense. And obviously KPJ is a little bit more of a veteran than Beauchamp. They traded for Kyle Kuzma, who's having one of the worst years of his career from the Washington Wizards, and traded away kind of a franchise legend in Chris Middleton, and they also rerouted Patrick Baldwin Jr. that they got in that deal with cash to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to give the Bucks a C+. I didn't really love this deadline for them. When they made that trade,
Yeah, I think the Bucks.
Wizards, that got them under the second apron, so I really thought
I think they
we were gonna see
fucked up.
another deal be made by the Milwaukee Bucks, and they were going to go even more all in this season. We didn't see that happen, and I'm not sure if this Bucks team is going to make it to at least the conference finals this year, because Boston's still really good, New York's still really good, Cleveland got better. I didn't really love it for Milwaukee at this year's deadline. For the Toronto Raptors, I'm going to give them a B+. They got a player of Brandon Ingram's caliber for nowhere near what he should realistically go for. They sent off Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a 2026 first-round pick via the Pacers, and a second-rounder, and they get somebody that's in his prime who could put up 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists on good efficiency, one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. The only caveat to that is
His shooting form's so weird to me.
He's going to cost them pretty.
But yeah, he's a
They also
hooper
traded
though.
away Davion Mitchell to the Miami Heat for PJ Tucker, a second-round pick, and cash
Davion Mitchell's a
They also
really
acquired
good
James
player
Wiseman
though.
in cash for basically nothing from the Indiana Pacers. So yeah, this is going to be a B+ for me. I do worry about this team's ceiling when they extend Brandon Ingram, and they're going to be over the salary cap and near the luxury tax with Emmanuel Quickley, Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. I don't think that ceiling is super high in the Eastern Conference unless Scotty Barnes takes a leap next year or the year after that to a top 10 player in the league. So yeah, I think it's a little bit wait and see for the Raptors, but they got a really good player for nowhere near than what he should have went for. They took advantage with New Orleans trading Brandon Ingram probably a year year and a half too late. The Boston Celtics, I'm going to give a C to. They only made one trade at the deadline. They traded away Jaden Springer to the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need to do anything.
With that,
I don't
Boston
think
really
they
didn't
need
need
to
to
do
make a
anything.
move. They're the reigning NBA champions, and they have their starting five, if they can all stay healthy, for the playoffs, and they are a second apron team as well. So I didn't really think they needed to make another move. The OKC Thunder, I'm going to give a C. They only made one deal, and that was with the New Orleans Pelicans. They acquired Daniel Tice and a second-round pick. So New Orleans.
So I'm an OKC fan, for anyone wondering. That's just the first. I mean, I was a Kobe fan before anything, but I really you feel me, when Westbrook was my guy, so that's why I'm a Thunder fan. But I thought we were gonna keep Daniel Tice because our centers keep getting injured.
Could get under the luxury tax basically. Yeah, it's just a C. I mean, the
But
Thunder
we waived
are the
him,
best
though.
team in the better conference this year. They're just getting Chet Holmgren back, so that could be like their big.
Oh yeah, we're so good though.
I would have liked if they
we're
went
so
after Cam
good.
Johnson, but they didn't
We're
really
so
have
good.
to. I don't know if this is going to be harsh, but I'm going to give the Utah Jazz an F. John Collins, Colin Sexton, and Jordan Clarkson are all still on this team after the deadline. John Collins could leave for nothing in the offseason. They helped LA shed some money. They got a second-round pick for basically Drew Eubanks and Patty Mills. They got involved in the Luka Doncic trade, getting Jalen Hood-Schifino. They got involved.
Wait, they
in the
waived
Jimmy
Jalen
Butler trade in the
Hood-Schifino?
2031 second. I don't know.
I
just
thought
feel like
for
this wasn't
sure they were
enough
gonna keep
selling
him.
deadline for the Utah Jazz. They are really bad this year. They're one of the worst teams in the NBA, and they could still end up with really good odds to get Cooper Flag. That's fine with me. I would have just liked if they gotten a little bit more additional draft capital, preferably in the first round, for some of their good veterans that could have been on the block, like I mentioned before, of John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, and Colin Sexton. Next up, I'm going to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, who were active at the end of the trade deadline leading up to the final hour, and they ended up trading away Marcus Smart and a 2025 first for 2 second-round picks, basically cutting costs on that Marcus Smart trade they made in a 3-team deal with Washington and Boston a few years ago. And they also sent Jake Laravia to Sacramento. This got worked into a bigger 3-team deal. I didn't really love this deadline for the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm going to give it a C because they definitely didn't get better at this year's deadline, but I don't think they got worse by any means. Like, they get Marcus Smart off their team. I thought that could have been used in a bigger trade down the line. We all thought when Marcus Smart got traded, there was a chance this was going to be a Kevin Durant deal because they did check in on him. I just don't like them trading away Jake Laravia for basically nothing, but I know they have a depth issue and a good
Yeah,
way, so that's why I'm
Laravia
just gonna
can
give it a
hoop.
C instead of something like a D+ or C-. And then the Dallas Mavericks, I'm not going to be too harsh on them, but you could definitely give them an F. I'm going to give them a D for their deadline. They went out, they got Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a future first-round pick for basically Luka Doncic. We all know why that could end in just a disaster in a few years if they don't win a ring with AD and Kyrie kind of towards the end of their primes. And I just feel like if they made Luka Doncic available to the rest of the league, they could have gone a lot more in exchange for him. I know they got clowned a lot for the Quentin Grimes and a second for Caleb Martin deal, but if Caleb Martin can be healthy in the playoffs, I do think he can have like a Josh Hart light impact for them, where he's going to crash the offensive
Hell
glass,
no.
he can lock in defensively,
Hell
and
no.
just be a
Hell
good
no. Hell
for
no.
them. And Quentin
Hell
Grimes
no.
is probably going to make a little bit more than what Caleb Martin makes right now in the offseason, so they technically save some money right there. But yeah, they're going to get caught on a ton. If you want to give them an F for trading away Luka Doncic, that is fine with me, but I'm going to give it a D just on the sole fact that they could win it all this year with Anthony Davis. They are currently the 8th seed in the Western Conference, but it is very tight right there. And there's a scenario where they don't even make the playoffs this year, which would really make this Luka trade look like the worst deal of all time. Man, what was Atlanta doing at the trade deadline? They are getting an F for me. Does their front office know they do not own their first-round pick at this year's 2025 draft? Unprotected, it goes to the San Antonio Spurs. And the Atlanta Hawks right now are currently the 9th seed in the Eastern
Damn, the Spurs are gonna be good, bro. The Spurs are gonna be good. That's a good franchise, man.
They can't really score.
Spurs are a good
They got
franchise.
worse at the deadline. They traded away DeAndre Hunter to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Karis LeVert, George Niang, a 2026 and 2028 first-round pick swaps. I don't think there's a very high chance that Atlanta is going to be better than Cleveland in 26 and 28, where those picks are going to be valuable. They also got 3 second-rounders in that deal, but they didn't need to trade DeAndre Hunter right now. He's under contract for the next 3 years, and he's your second-best player currently for a team
Yeah, that's
that
such a
needs
good
to
move
win
for the Cavs,
because
too.
they do
That's
not
such a
own
good
their
move for the
first-round
Cavs.
pick. What if they just gifted Cooper Flag to the San Antonio Spurs? They also made the trade with the LA Clippers.
Imagine Cooper Flag or Wemby. Imagine.
They took on Terrence Mann and Bones Highland. Not sure how that's an upgrade there either. And they also traded away Cody Zeller and a 2028 second to Houston for nothing in return, just to get under the luxury tax. Woohoo! You guys got under the luxury tax, and you guys are 5 games under 500. You're a bottom 10 team in the NBA right now, and you don't own your first round pick pick in the 25 draft. I don't know how they didn't upgrade at the deadline. They were apparently linked to Brandon Ingram, so they wanted to get better in some way, shape, or form. Why didn't they? And I'm going to give the Miami Heat a B+. I think they did very well in the Jimmy Butler trade. We all thought he lost a lot of leverage because he was kind of a drama queen for the Miami Heat. He said he didn't want to sign an extension with Golden State. He ends up signing one.
Yeah, I saw that he had a combo with Pat Riley and Pat Riley started crying. I don't know.
This was a 4-team deal. They acquired Andrew Wiggins. They got PJ Tucker. They rerouted him. Kyle Anderson and a 2025 Warriors first-round pick, which is top 10 protected, and they sent Jimmy Butler to Golden State in a deal that involved Detroit and Utah. And they haven't really had Jimmy Butler all year, so they technically get better in this deal, and I think there is going to be a tier drop-off between the Heat as the 6th seed and the Pistons, Magic, and Hawks as the 7, 8, 9. I think the Heat are going to be a non-playing tournament team, playoff team now, and they get Andrew Wiggins, who could be a really good connecting piece in the SPO offense and defense. They get a Warriors first-round pick, which could end up being 11, 12, 13, or 14 this year, or maybe it's just 15. I don't think that pick is going to be any lower than that. So I think they made out very well in this deal. They're going to be competitive post Jimmy Butler, and they avoided having to pay Jimmy Butler $60 million a year. So let's just talk about the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to give them a B-. I don't
That's
love
sad,
the Jimmy
bro.
Butler trade. I wonder what their ceiling currently is, because right now in the Western Conference,
The Warriors
they're
is just
11
sad to me.
They're 25 and 25. They've had their fair share of injuries as of late, and I don't know if Jimmy Butler is the missing piece for this team. Now I'm giving them a B-. It's a positive grade because I applaud them trying to make a win now move around Steph
Yeah, I think they'll
Curry
definitely
and
get
Draymond
better.
Green. They're not getting any younger, but you added somebody that is the same age as them basically. You just committed $120 million after this year to Jimmy Butler. It's a little scary. So, hey, maybe there's a scenario where this team loses in round 1, they reshuffle their roster in the offseason, and they're going to be a top 4 seed in the West next year, and you're at least going out trying before Steph Curry retires, and you only had to give up 1 first-round pick, and maybe it's going to be...
Yeah, that rebuild after Curry goes is gonna
Well, hey, maybe
be
you lose in the
hard.
play tournament this year. You got to give Miami the 12th overall
I'm be
pick,
tuning
and
into
you
them
don't make the
flat
playoffs
reacts.
this year. And then this trade could look like a disaster. Next up,
Them
we have the
flat reacts,
Philadelphia
guys.
76ers, who made a lot of weird moves at the deadline. I'm going to give them a C. Now, I don't fault Daryl Morey for not trying to buy more or sell more. They're in a really weird spot. I do think they could be competitive if they can get fully healthy at the end of the year with Maxey, Embiid, and George all playing together. I'm not sure if it's going to end up in a round 1 series win, but at least they can stay competitive where they're not going to give the OKC Thunder the 7th overall pick. They can give them the 15th overall pick. They sent KJ Martin in 2 seconds to the Pistons. That helped them save some money, and now they can give Gershon Yabusele the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, which is huge. Gershon's been great for them this year, and they definitely...
Oh,
need to
Yabusele really came
They
up
also
though,
sent Caleb Martin.
because he was hooping in the World Cup, right? Or was it the Olympics? I think he dunked on like LeBron or something. And then he's actually like a solid player in the NBA now after that. That's so
Dallas
bad.
Mavericks, they got Quentin
That's so
Grimes,
bad.
who's a good 3-and-D piece and is younger than Caleb Martin. They also traded away Reggie Jackson and a 2026 first-round pick in exchange for Jared Butler and 4 seconds. A little bit of a head-scratching move right there. So it was definitely a weird deadline. I thought Daryl Morey was cooking up something bigger. He did not. I'm going to give them a C, though. The Portland Trailblazers are going to get a D for me. Now, they've been a great team over the last few weeks, and I'm excited to just watch them night in and night out.
What did they
now,
do?
With Scoot playing better, clinging at times, Vinny and has been great for them. But why didn't they trade Robert Williams or any of their depth on their team that they don't need in the future? Why do we have a 3-center rotation of Aiden, Klingon, and Robert Williams on this team still? So they're just getting a D, just basically because they didn't trade Robert Williams. Even if it was for 2 second-round picks, I don't think you're getting anything better than that in the offseason. Maybe teams were scared about his injury history, but either way, the Blazers, maybe not even getting a little bit worse because they're playing pretty good right now, and that could hurt them in the draft lottery. I don't know. I just wasn't the biggest fan of the Blazers at the deadline. Next up, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm going to give them a D+. I alluded to
Yo,
it.
so many filler teams right now in the NBA, bro. That sounds so bad and there's so many filler teams, bro. What is New Orleans doing? What are they doing?
They got Bruce Brown.
What's
they
their
probably
aim?
re-signed in the offseason. Kelly Olynyk, who's under contract next year, and a 2026 first-round pick via the Pacers in this deal. And they also traded Daniel Tice and a 2031 second to OKC to get under the luxury tax. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this deadline for the Pelicans. They didn't try to move CJ McCollum, and I just think the return for Brandon Ingram isn't great. Now they avoid paying him. At least they got something for him compared to him leaving for nothing in the offseason. But I don't know. I think it was just a sad way for the Brandon Ingram era to go out in New Orleans. The Orlando Magic didn't make a single trade. I'm going to give them a C-. Now, they don't need to make
I really
a
want the
move
Magic to do
because they're
well,
a fairly
bro.
young team. They've been decimated by injuries this year, and maybe they're going to be a...
Because it was like at the start of the year, Paolo was going crazy, then he got injured. And then Franz Wagner was going crazy, and then he got injured. And then Mo Wagner started going crazy, and then he got injured, bro.
first-round exit or a play-in tournament exit. That's fine as long as...
I like the Magic a lot, though.
I would have liked for them to add some shooting because they are one of the worst three-point shooting teams of the 21st century. And I'm going to give the Cleveland
Damn.
Cavaliers the final team here in A.
Yeah, the Cavs make good
DeAndre
moves,
Hunter,
bro.
Phil LeVert, Niang, 2 swaps that I don't think are ever going to hurt Cleveland, and 3 second-round picks. And they now have a closing 5 of Garland, Mitchell, Hunter, Mobley, and Allen.
I think
would
hot
like
to
for them
that-
to
to
get a
that
backup
shit.
Center. Maybe they address that in the buyout market. But either way, they were able to keep the
Such a good
contract
move for the
until
Cavs,
offseason.
bro.
They were able to keep Isaac Okoro.
Such a
This
good
was
move.
home run trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I still have no idea what Atlanta was doing at the deadline. That is going to be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this video.
Alright, no, good video, bro. Good video, bro.